Hi, this is Aaron Wilson. I'm outside Ford Field in downtown Detroit, Michigan, where the Texans are going to play their third and final preseason game on Saturday afternoon. First order of business, though, a joint practice with one of the top teams in the NFL. In Allen Park, Michigan, that's where the Lions have their training facility, and that's where the Texans will be tomorrow morning, and we'll have coverage for you. We take this show on the road, started today in Houston, Texas, and tonight in Detroit, Michigan, where the Texans are getting ready for what I expect to be a very competitive situation. You look at the Lions roster, and yes, the Lions are one of the teams that beat the Texans last year. Despite Jared Goff being picked off 5 times, they still somehow managed to lose. They couldn't run the football, and it was a real, I would say, disappointing day for the offense. It's not really about who's the better team on this day. It's about getting better. So that's the priority. And DeMeco Ryans, I thought, really underscored that quite well, that this isn't like a competition, like we're trying to go out and win the practice. It's more about getting better, playing against someone else, being physical, and obviously they have a lot of talent. Not just Jared Goff, who has a lot of arm talent, a lot of accuracy normally, that game notwithstanding, but Amon-Ra St. Brown against Derek Stingley Jr., against Kamari Lassiter. That is outstanding work. Then Aiden Hutchinson, who is obviously a Michigan man, and want to see, if Ariante Ursary and him tangle, how does that go? Or Titus Howard for that matter. So it's a good defense. It's a very outstanding secondary. They have some of the best football players in the NFL in terms of Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch. What a great safety tandem. The Texans have an excellent safety tandem too. They got one half of it at least. Kalen Bullock and C.J. Gardner-Johnson has been working on the side field, working his way back. So we'll go through a little bit about what's going on first this morning in Houston, Texas, and then what I expect next. So this morning, I saw Derek Stingley Jr., you guys probably saw my video, some very tight coverage on Xavier Hutchinson. But Xavier Hutchinson has had an excellent training camp. Hutchinson has gotten to the point where people are talking about, should he be the third receiver instead of Jaden Higgins? I'm not sure if I'd go that far yet, because Higgins is a heck of a target, and I think he's done some good things too. He just needs more opportunities with the football in his hands, and he will make plays, just like he did against the Panthers on that one target. That was a heck of an out route, and he sold it, and obviously he's open no matter what at 6'4". But I really like the progress of Xavier Hutchinson and what he's done. I know he's worked incredibly hard to get to this point. So this morning, in terms of personnel, so Cam Robinson practiced again. So did Dameon Pierce, so did Christian Harris, Foley Fatukasi, and Derek Barnett. I'll start with Cam Robinson. Yes, Cam, has been working his way back. He was listed as a starter, and now they have Ariante Ursary. As you guys have seen, it's been the usual starting lineup, and so they've had Cam Robinson. He tries, work in, and he's working his way back from this lower leg injury, and they have a decision to make. Are they going to go with the experience and the investment they've made in Robinson up to $14.5 million, or are they going to let Ursary play his natural left tackle spot, where I think he plays his best? Or do you have him play right tackle? It's just a question of, do you think Titus Howard is so good at right tackle as opposed to right guard, and he prefers to play right tackle? And do you feel good about Ed Ingram? Ed Ingram's had some good games. I think Ed Ingram's played very well. I was impressed with him against Carolina, the run blocking. He's a roll-up-your-sleeves guy. He was not great with the Vikings, and he'd be the first one to tell you, that wasn't, his best football. It wasn't like he played at LSU. That said, maybe the change of scenery helps him. We know that Laken Tomlinson is the left guard. We know Jake Andrews is going to be the center. I don't see that changing. And Titus Howard will start, whether it's right guard or right tackle. He's starting somewhere. The question is, Ursary will start too. It's just, is it left tackle? Is it right tackle? And if it's right tackle, then Titus Howard's the right guard. So that's a decision they have to make here as we get ready for the regular season, and that's coming right up. So the practice should be interesting because of the matchups I mentioned. Amon-Ra St. Brown against Derek Stingley Jr., Kamari Lassiter. It's good football. It's good against good. And for the Texans tight ends, a tough test against Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch, and for the slot receivers like Christian Kirk. So it is cool. The rules are a little different in Detroit. There is no cell phone video. I do have a camera. I'm going to try to capture some images, but you're only allowed to shoot the warm-up anyway. So we're not going to have footage of that. of the one-on-ones and those kind of things. Unfortunately, that's how the Lions do it. This is their building, it's their rules, so we'll play by those rules. And I promise I'll have an outstanding interview. I'm teasing this interview now. It's going to be a good one. So make sure you guys check out this interview that I've got coming up. Can't wait to talk some football with one of the Texans' best players. So yes, a little mystery, a little foreshadowing, but I am excited about this interview, and I'm always all the interviews, but this should be a cool conversation. I am looking forward to it. So we'll bring that to you later, and please keep me locked here at, of course, on YouTube and at KPRC2 with Randy McElvoy and R. Alexander, and at www.click2houston.com. But yeah, I want to talk some more football with you guys before we wrap this up, and I've got to get some sleep too. It's been a long day of travel. Began in Houston, Texas, and now here I am in Detroit, the 313, the 8 Mile, all that good stuff. Have not seen Eminem yet. No, I don't know if I will run into Slim Shady, but Aaron is here, and I won't rap for you guys, even though I know a few lyrics going through my head right now, but sorry, I could not help myself. At least I'm not in the 8 Mile giving you guys a very performative video like my Sopranos video from last year, if anybody remembers that one. Had a lot of fun doing that one, but I'm a big Sopranos fan. I'm 8 Mile, that's cool, that's fine. That was a good movie, enjoyed it, underdog, rapper, all that good stuff. Okay, so back to football. What we're seeing with Christian Harris, we're seeing him moving really well, we're seeing him react well to the stress of practicing. That's important. So Christian Harris making progress, and we're seeing some of these, like I've talked about before, the 3 linebacker alignments that are possible for these guys and that they might use with him, with Henry To'oTo'o, with Azeez Al-Shaair, and of course, EJ Speed, who's going to be heard from. He's going to compete for some playing time too. He's earned it. Azeez Al-Shaair did not practice, so we'll get more information on that. Another injury update for you and a personnel update. Blake Ferguson was signed, former Miami Dolphins long snapper, and that's because Austin Brinkman, the rookie long snapper, the replacement for John Weeks, the former Pro Bowl long snapper, the Iron Man, John Weeks, who's now a San Francisco 49er. So Brinkman has a mild injury, I'm told, and he's expected back by the Rams game. If he's not, Ferguson is a accomplished long snapper, was a 6th-round draft pick. Most guys don't get drafted to be a long snapper, but yeah, he's a good long snapper. And he had an illness that forced him to lose his job with the Miami Dolphins. So we'll see what happens, but I think it's still going to be Brinkman. I think Brinkman will be back. So that's what I'm hearing, and we'll see if that holds true. So other situations that we're looking at in terms of the Texans and the injury front. Like I said, T.J. Gardner-Johnson's been working on the side field. That's a good sign. Jalen Reed is still sidelined with a sprained knee. And, it's supposed to be like a 3 to 4 week type of recovery for the knee sprain. Non-surgical for C.J. Gardner-Johnson, both those situations. Everybody asked me about Joe Mixon. I've been told it's a tough and complicated situation, and there's no real new update on Joe, and I was told, I'll reiterate this, the doctor's thing was before training camp, so visiting that specialist, that was not like the day that, it was a latergram when the doctor posted it, and Joe looked all smiles. I'm still told Joe is making progress, but, does anything point toward the first game? Doesn't feel that way, doesn't sound that way. We'll see, we'll be open-minded about it, Hopefully Joe can get himself back. It's a non-football injury, and like I've said before, first walking boot, then a lace-up brace on the foot by the time he had his youth football camp that was closed to the media. And then after that, mobility over the summer, increased mobility, some jumping around, some things I saw on video, had a chance to talk, just sort of informally with his trainer from California, and got a fairly good report. That said, it's all about the aftercare and the treatment for Joe. So yeah, I wish I could give you a lot more clarity on the Joe Mixon situation, but I'm giving you what I have. So Dameon Pierce, on a more positive note, looks good, running well. Looks like he's gotten, really good body lean. He's running well. He looks strong. So that's a good one to go with Nick Chubb and Dargo Moale and Woody Marks. So Yeah, but I think Pierce is going to help this football team, help this running game, and I think he's matured. He's done a lot of things to improve as a runner and as an all-around football player, especially on returns. People ask me about the roster cuts. Okay, I think they will have to keep the majority of the receivers now that they've traded John Mechie III. It's a race between Harrison Bryant and Irv Smith for the third tight end job. They have some positional flexibility with Jakob Johnson because he can play fullback or tight end. And they have a special teams decision to make because British Brooks is lights out on coverage. So he's going to be heard from when it comes time for this decision. And like Frank Ross said the other day, he says he's a good salesman. I know he is. And he hadn't seen the movie that I told him about. Maybe he'll check it out. And Frank, if you're out there listening, we talked a little bit about this. Glengarry Glen Ross, ABC, always be closing. Great monologue by the great actor Alec Baldwin. So the Texans need to be closing. They need to be closing ground on the Lions when they're covering, and of course in blocking and rushing the passer. They have Penei Sewell, who's an outstanding athlete, but he had no answers for the Euro step or jab step that Danielle Hunter likes to employ. That was outstanding pass rushing. That was a clinic that Danielle put on in that game. They didn't win the game, but I tell you, he won his battle with Sewell, who's one of the best, one of the toughest. And that's why he's up on this facade behind me, along with Jared Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown. So a lot of outstanding football players. This is a blue-collar city, and a lot of toughness that the Lions definitely, embody, and the spirit of their coach, Dan Campbell. I think it's going to be a heck of a workout. D'Amico Ryans, he said he couldn't wait to get to Detroit. So he's excited, and I'm excited to be here. This is cool. It's going to be a fun practice situation. But it is, as Allen Iverson would say, practice? It's just practice. Doesn't count. And we've been traveling around the country. I can tell you this, the Texans are taking this preseason as seriously as they should be because they are approaching it. They'll do anything. They're leaving no stone unturned. We've been to West Virginia, and now we're in Michigan. And, it's interesting to be here because they have a lot of pride in their football team, as they should, and pride in their pizza, too, which is outstanding. I had some nice pizza at Michigan and Trumbull. It's just as good as they say. It was great. So some pizza, and, no real fun with me other than the pizza, but maybe I will check out some of the things of Detroit. They do have a lot of casinos. Maybe I'll try my luck. I don't know if I feel lucky, guys, but who knows. I used to do okay at the craps tables in Atlantic City. I would drive up there from Baltimore and have occasionally go to the AC to the Borgata, and that was fun. But I haven't been to a casino in a long time other than Las Vegas and a layover from the Niners game a couple years ago. So it's been a while. Maybe I'll go. We'll see. They have an MGM. They got a big picture above me. Not at the MGM, but a big ad for the MGM of Jamie Foxx. So Jamie Foxx, I guess, likes the MGM, or he's one of their sponsored guys that goes to the MGM. But anyway, we're in Detroit, and Motown. We'll see what kind of song the Texans can sing, what they can put together, and it's just a preseason game. I do not expect the starters, to answer your question, and I've already gotten this question a lot. I don't think starters are playing in the third preseason game, and I think if you are playing the preseason game, it might not be a great sign for your roster status, and you may need to play well in that preseason game, very well, to get a spot. So for anyone that's thinking like, okay, well, Damon Arnett's a lock, I think this guy's a lock. No. If you're not a starter, you're not a lock. It's going to be really interesting to see some of the decisions they make, and keep an eye on the kicking game because it's going to come down to special teams for a lot of these spots for the Texans as the roster bubble is going to pop for some people. And then, it's really, like Frank Ross was saying, it's about the best 70. They got 90 players now, but it's about 70, because they are going to have the practice squad established. And one of them won't count. I think he'll be on the practice squad. He had a sack. Haggai Nabuse, who is gigantic, native of Lagos, Nigeria, has played for the Commanders and the Patriots and the Cardinals, and is a developmental prospect, an interesting player, and he's got a great attitude. I enjoyed my conversation with Haggai, and I get to know him a little bit, who learned how to play football watching YouTube videos. So good for Haggai. So the next steps for the Texans after this practice, They get a day off on Friday, walkthroughs, meals, some downtime, rest. Rest is very important. Then Saturday, they play the game. I'm out of there right after the game, flying home Saturday night, and then we get ready for roster cuts. And it's never easy. And I thought DeMeco Ryans really gave a very heartfelt, sincere answer about the difficulty of telling someone, no, not at this time, you're not going to make it. He said he will give feedback to anybody that wants that feedback about why they're not making the team at this time, what they could do to improve. And so anybody that's looking for feedback, he says he'll give that. And that's nice. Not every coach is going to do that. Some coaches are going to say, all right, well, hey, sorry, I need your playbook. It didn't work out. Good luck. And that's about it. But yeah, I think as a former player, he has that empathy. He understands what it feels like to, hear some dreams either die or defer. He's been around football for a long time. So that's really important, is the humanity of this, because these guys aren't just names on a list. Every one of these guys is a great athlete and a great football player at some level in their life. And so it's a tough thing. And so I try to approach it that way as a journalist, because I know that this is a sad thing when guys get cut, and it's tough. It's very tough on them. It's very emotional, and these are people, and they've put everything they have into this, and they got this close. And then if you don't make it, then you got to wonder, will somebody else want me? What might happen? Arnett is an example. I think there'll be some action for Arnett as far as other offers. I think the same thing, because the Texans have built that kind of roster, and Nick Caserio and DeMeco Ryans should be proud of the roster they've built. The decision shouldn't be easy when you have a good football team. It should be tough, right, guys? It should be difficult. It shouldn't just be like, oh, well, yeah, we just cut these guys. That's easy. No, you should have a deep and good roster. I think it's going to be a heck of a practice squad, and it doesn't get a lot of headlines, but you never know. Sometimes guys start out on practice squads. Sometimes guys go undrafted. The Priest Holmeses, the Arian Fosters. So you just never know what you might have with an undrafted player. Sometimes they're special, and sometimes late round guys are special. I still think just 2 quarterbacks on active. Of course, C.J. Stroud, Davis Mills. I think running back, it's a little crowded. They're going to have to cut some guys. They already cut J.J. Taylor, and they waived injured, and now he's on injured reserve, Xavier Johnson. I think an injury settlement could be coming. He broke his hand. Tough break for Xavier Johnson, who's very close to C.J. Stroud from their Ohio State days, and they are 2 very spiritual guys. And Xavier had a lot to do with getting C.J. into some of this Bible study and things that are very important to him from a personal level. So yeah, speedy recovery to Xavier Johnson, and we'll have more coverage. Like I said, I'm going to get home and or home, I shouldn't say home, go to my hotel and do some more writing, and then get some sleep. And then 10:15 Eastern time, the Texans will hit the field. So we'll have you covered from that, and we'll have post-practice interviews. It's going to be more about interviews and some things, some notes and things like that. We're not going to be able to do the same level of play after play, and I tend to be more of a highlights guy. Some people do a great job with the play-by-plays. That's awesome. That's maybe not my style, but I have, any way anybody wants to cover a practice, I'm all for, because everybody has their own genre. Guys, make sure you check out these other channels. They are great. So check out the Landry Lockers and Cody Stutes and Seth Payne. So yeah, I am learning as I go, but these guys are real pros, masters of the YouTube game and the content game, and I'm just doing my own style, and I appreciate you guys supporting it and help support everything I'm doing in terms of presence, and just continuing to grow into the more of the video creation. So it's really a channel that started, I think it was October 13th of last year. So we are about 10 months in. I appreciate the progress. I appreciate the support, and I'm just looking for more. So we're getting close to 15K. We'll get to that point, and then we'll go to the next stage, and we'll just kind of keep growing and growing and growing. So guys, thank you for your time. Thanks for listening to me. Appreciate you guys, and we're going to talk tomorrow, and I look forward to our conversation. Thanks, guys.